More and more, the impact of wokeness upon the entertainment industry it's taken its toll on the paying public. The proven success formula of simply entertaining people has been replaced with the purpose intent to promote woke ideology, and it's not being received well at all. Because of this, much of the entertainment industry has lost the support of the public and hence are experiencing unbelievable amounts of financial loss. So, what does it take for a business to realize that it is they themselves who need to be the ones who wake up before it's too late? Well, let's talk about that. Hey, welcome back to Enough with the Crazy. There is no doubt that our country is neck deep in the ridiculousness of a woke culture war. Anymore, it seems that one can't turn on any source of media without having to hear about some type of overly hyped up woke circumstance that has activists all ablaze. Most of these circumstances are really quite insignificant, both in context and fact, and I think that most rational people just shake their heads in unbelief at the level that these foolish stories are taken to. Not to mention, at the level of rage that many woke activists will respond with. But unfortunately, and embarrassingly, this is where we are in our society. And what may be the greatest catalyst for the continuation of this woke war is Hollywood with its attempt to continually inundate us with the woke message. In the past, Hollywood was the place of dreams. They made movies that told stories and made people laugh, cry, cheer, and even be inspired. They brought comedians to the stage, and through their poking fun at the world, could at times make us laugh so hard that we would forget the hardships we were facing. They would have television shows that would both provoke our imagination as well as our knowledge. But wherein Hollywood once was the place where fame and fortune was all that mattered, today's Hollywood is a very different place. Today, Hollywood doesn't seem to care about making money. All it does seem to care about is how they can force their woke ideology down everyone's throats. And because of that, it is causing them to lose excessive amounts of money. The past few years have seen Hollywood purposely stray from making blockbuster movies that would make incredible amounts of money to making only woke-themed films that consistently lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Most recently, this is once again true for Disney's newest woke remake of Snow White, which is expected to fail miserably at the box office. This is an extremely woke adaptation, if we can even call it that, of a beloved Disney classic wherein they make the point to ensure that Snow isn't a white person and that the seven dwarfs are now magical creatures of normal height. According to interviews with the lead actress Rachel Zegler, this version isn't the iconic love story with a quote-unquote stalker prince. This Snow White is a boss woman. She doesn't need a man, and she's all about finding her own power. Now, one would think that an industry as money-driven as Hollywood is would be very aware of the futility of continually producing a genre of films that does nothing but lose immense amounts of money. But for some reason, they seem to be steadfast in their beliefs that if they continue to focus only on oversaturating us with the woke message, eventually they will sway the country to get woke, and losing grand amounts of money to attain that is worth it. Now, it's also clearly evident to the majority of us that the purpose behind what woke activists focus on to promote their ideology is their attempt to separate kids from the influence of their parents. And let's face it, movies, music, videos, etc., they're those things that have great influence over the young, and that's why I believe Hollywood, and especially Disney, continues to push these films despite the losses. As Hollywood has taken on the role as the strong arm of the woke movement, they no longer seem able to see past the ideology whereby they are capable of realizing that losing money is actually a bad thing. But I see an eventual crisis looming in the near future for them. With the incredible amount of losses each of these woke films generate, I see those Hollywood producers, who are the ones whose pockets are being emptied to make these films, coming to their own awakening in the realization that they are the ones who are losing money and not the activists. All of those Hollywood celebrities who jump on the woke bandwagon to promote themselves as champions of social justice, they aren't the ones who are losing money on these films. It doesn't cost them a thing to pressure Tinseltown to be woke because they're not the ones financing the movement. But when you look at the amount of money these films are losing, you have to think that those who finance these woke failures have to be getting tired of losing their shorts over this overly embellished so called need for wokeness. Let's take a look at some examples of these woke failures. Amazon Prime, Rings of Power. The first season had 8 episodes and cost them $715 million to make. Now, of course, that includes the $250 million Amazon had to pay to buy the rights from the Tolkien estate. Yet even though The Lord of the Rings was a blockbuster franchise, this woke offshoot, Rings of Power, it bombed. The original Lord of the Rings trilogy cost around $281 million to make, and it grossed $3 billion worldwide, making it one of the highest grossing films of all time. It was followed with the Hobbit trilogy, which cost about $745 million to make, but had a worldwide gross of $5.9 billion, which is essentially double the amount of the first. So with such proven support for the franchise, one would think that the Rings of Power simply couldn't lose. But because of how woke the project was, it had only a 37% viewer completion rate. Keep in mind that many of those included in the 37% are those who watched only to review the series. And remember, the first season was only 8 episodes, and it still couldn't keep the majority of viewers until the end of the season. The losses generated by this woke movement in Amazon Films got so bad that recently the CEO of the company required an accounting of why so much is being spent on projects that are utter failures. According to a Bloomberg article dated July of 2023, Amazon.com Inc. CEO Andy Jassy is taking a hard look at how much the company's Hollywood studios spend on original TV programming. In recent weeks, he has asked executives for detailed budget analysis of some of their biggest shows, according to people familiar with the matter, scrutinizing the studio's ballooning costs and mixed track record with audiences. The world's largest online retailer is engaged in a company-wide cost-cutting program with plans to eliminate at least 27,000 jobs. Across Amazon, Jassy has also jettisoned 37 different projects deemed unnecessary. Clearly, when a series offshoot of an absolutely successful and beloved franchise like The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, both of which have hardcore fans, cannot survive the transition into woke ideology, then it's a telling commentary as to just how much of the country isn't buying into this overly embellished need for social justice. I could go on and discuss the utter failures of the Disney franchise as well, with their woke-themed films like Lightyear, which lost an estimated $214 million. Strange World, which lost $100 million. The Little Mermaid, that is expected to lose approximately $200 million. The latest Indiana Jones movie, which is projected to lose $100 million. And the Disney Star Wars spin-offs. It has actually been reported by the Daily Wire that Disney has lost upwards of $900 million on their last 8 films because of how they're attempting to push their woke agenda onto our kids. That also has resulted in the loss of 2.4 million subscribers to the Disney Plus channel. Now, I could also go on to mention other woke projects that were huge failures like Ghostbusters 2016, She-Hulk Attorney at Law, West Side Story 2021, and The Eternals. But the bottom line is that an industry that spends extravagant amounts of money to produce its products simply cannot survive with such immense losses. The reality is that this country isn't as problematic as these activists try to make it seem. The truth of it all is that these so-called activists are the ones themselves who are creating many of these problems by their incessant complaining. They simply aren't happy that the majority of our country doesn't fall in line with what it is that they think and want. They make it their cause to embellish everything so that it gives validity to their claims of the great injustice they believe this country promotes, and that because we don't cave in to how they think things should be. The movement itself is actually quite simple to define. It is a small group of people who believe that the entire world should change how they think and live just to conform to what it is that they want. Now, of course, there are actual issues that need our serious attention and resolve, but all of these excessively woke claims of injustice by these loudmouth rich and famous activists who are only complaining because they aren't getting what they want just isn't helping anything. In fact, the truth is that they are only creating a distraction from the real issues we need to be focusing on. So if you want to know what is real in the public, if you want to know if what you're screaming about is really happening, then the trends of what is accepted by the public in the entertainment industry is one way to discern that. You see, people won't pay for anything that conflicts with what they know to be true. And if what you're claiming is indeed so real, then why is it your message isn't supported by the majority? After all, one would have to be a fool to believe that in our modern culture, the majority of Americans would knowingly support injustice. So, what does it say that these films that promote the current woke ideology aren't supported and fail miserably? Especially seeing how films that simply focus on telling good stories and entertaining the public are films that continue to succeed. Thanks to the immense financial losses many of these companies are experiencing, it seems that more of these companies that were on board with pushing this woke agenda are finally beginning to wake up themselves. And maybe, just maybe, once they stop trying to force their overly embellished views of societal injustice down everyone's throats, they'll actually be able to see the truth of what is really happening and refocus on simply entertaining the public. So feel free to share in the comments what your thoughts are. And if you enjoy this type of content, please share it with others, as that would be a great benefit to me. And please also consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel, as that would immensely assist me in growing the channel. Hey, as always, I'd just like to say God bless, and thanks so much for taking the time to listen. Until next time.